Good afternoon, folks. Robert Chappell here, Executive Editor of Madison365 with your daily update for Thursday, March 10th. It is looks like it's going to be a beautiful weekend, you all. So the snow should be gone by Monday or so, just in time for the daylight saving time. So don't forget that. Let's hit COVID first. We are looking today at 464 new confirmed cases in the state of Wisconsin. I believe that means for the past 2 weeks, we've been under 500 cases every day. Every individual day has been under 500 cases, which is good. The 7-day average is now 402. We haven't seen that since mid-July of last year, when Delta first started to hit. It was mid-July last year. The 7-day positive test rate, again, the magic number here is 3, right? We're trying to get down to 3%, and we are now at 3.1%. Right, Monday was 3.3. Tuesday, Wednesday stayed at 3.2. Today it's 3.1. It's just there's just less wiggle room in the numbers, right? So you're going to see less movement. It's going to level off a little bit, but it's going to get below 3%. If not tomorrow, probably when we come back Monday, it'll be back below 3%, and that's good. Hospitalizations also yesterday, remember, had leveled off, and the ICU population even went up a little bit. It's as I thought it would happen. Those have both fallen again. 316 people currently hospitalized because of COVID-19. That's down by 29 just since yesterday. That's like almost a 10% decrease just since yesterday, after a day of being level. And then the ICU population is 60, which is down by 2 since yesterday, but down by 23 in the past week. So that's looking at like about a 25% decrease just in the past week, which is good. The 7-day average of confirmed deaths, again, these are not deaths that happened today, but that are confirmed today. We have 7 new confirmed deaths today. That puts our average at 9 for the week, which it's been that for about 2 weeks now. The 7-day death average has been about 9 consistently for 2 weeks. Now, all these numbers are good. The statistics, the data look good from an epidemiological population perspective. However, we are hearing anecdotally, which you hate to report on anecdotes, right? There's a lot of the media is one story that's an outlier that makes us problem seem worse than it is. I kind of don't want to do that, but we are hearing anecdotes of younger kids getting COVID, of daycare centers having outbreaks still, or new outbreaks, as younger kids can't get vaccinated, and those kids that are like 9, 10, 11 years old are a little bit more vulnerable, because basically once you're 10 or 11, COVID thinks you're an adult, right? You're going to catch and spread COVID as if you're an adult. However, anybody under 12 is only getting a third of a vaccine dose. As soon as you turn 12, or if you were 12 when you got vaccinated, you got the full adult dose. If you're 11, you got a third of the dose. So even though the COVID thinks you're basically the same person if you're 10, 11, or 12, the 12-year-old's got much more protection than the 11-year-old does. So there are kids in that sort of older range of kids that are under 12 that are kind of vulnerable right now, because we've taken off the masks at school, right? So even if they got vaccinated, they have less protection because they only got the third of a dose. And now we're taking the masks off. So there are kids in that age that are kind of getting it right now. And as we take the masks off, daycare centers are seeing outbreaks in younger kids. So, again, that's not really reflected in the data, because it's not a huge number of people, but it's very concerning and very disruptive for those people who are affected. Okay. So don't feel like everything's fine now just because the numbers are looking good. That's not what we want to convey. So that's the COVID situation. This is true. This is all true. What DJ says. This is a very to say it's doubling each week in the United States it's not misleading, but it's a relatively small number still. But when it's doubling each week, that's still concerning. people who got Omicron do not have protection. I'm not sure that that's true. If you're vaccinated, you have protection. Like getting Omicron doesn't necessarily confer a lot of immunity, but the vaccine does, right? So if you're vaccinated and you got Omicron, you're still protected by your vaccine, basically. But we are talking. There is talk of either whether it's a second booster versus there's a fourth dose. I would predict that we're going to get to a point where we're getting annual COVID shots, just like we're getting annual flu shots, and I think that would be fine. So that's where we are COVID wise. We'll be back right after this. I just have a quick word for you from UW Madison Division of the Arts, and then we'll be back with the local news. All right, we are back, and we have at the Madison Youth Arts Center, which is the new big My Arts Center, Madison Youth Arts Center, on the east side on East Mifflin. There is a CTM, Children's Theater Madison, has their new production there. It's called Calabasas Street, and a major portion of the set is these little mini piñatas, and they turned to Lincoln Elementary School, and third graders there made all these piñatas and learned about Mexican culture, learned about Mexican families and fiestas and things. Made the piñatas for the set. So if you go to CTM at My Arts Center, the show opens this weekend on Saturday and runs through the 27th. If you use the promo code Domingo, you can get 30% off your tickets. That's a nice little thing that they offer to our listeners. But the fun part is that they turned to our friend Araceli Esparza, who went to Lincoln Elementary and worked with the teacher there to make the piñatas and get the kids involved with that theatrical production. So that's pretty fantastic. Also today, we learned that Christine Russell is now the director of health and wellness programs for the Foundation for Black Women's Wellness. This is an organization that is just about to celebrate its 10th anniversary, growing out of Black Women's Wellness Day, and it became this whole organization that now has a space on the west side of Madison that opened just a couple months before the pandemic hit, and has been running this whole time. So Christine Russell now has been hired. The staff continues to grow there, and she will work on the programs which work to advance Black women's health and reduce racial health and birth disparities in Madison specifically, but also across the state. And finally today, the city of Fitchburg, the Common Council room where they meet is now going to be called the Francis Huntley Cooper City Council Chamber. Francis Huntley Cooper was the mayor of Fitchburg from 1991 to 93. She was the first Black mayor in the state of Wisconsin. She's still, 30 years later, the only Black person who's been elected mayor of any city in Wisconsin. Milwaukee, in the interim, has had two Black acting mayors, right, who took office because of the departure of a current mayor. The current mayor of Milwaukee, Cavalier Johnson, Chevy Johnson, as they call him, is acting mayor. He was not elected to that position yet, although he's on the ballot and he looks poised to defeat Bob Donovan in the election next month. So he seems like he will become the second elected mayor, Black person mayor in the state of Wisconsin history. Now, Francis Huntley Cooper, as I said, was that first mayor, and Michael Johnson, the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club, and some other local folks in Fitchburg there, put an idea in front of the current mayor, Aaron Richardson, and the city council, and wanted to rename the city council or the city building, the city hall, the municipal building, after Francis Huntley Cooper. And Alder Joe Maldonado, good friend of ours, sort of led that effort, started talking to folks. They had a discussion at the Committee of the Whole in January. And there wasn't a lot of enthusiasm to do that. And in fact, rather than name a building after a Black woman, the council decided to prohibit the naming of all buildings after anyone. Take from that what you will. They made, cogent sounding arguments about putting community first, and any name is going to have controversy around it. And, we are renaming all the schools that are named after former presidents and things like that. And so there's some, they just don't want to be divisive. They don't want to argue over who to name buildings after, whatever. Joe Maldonado's point was that we named New York City's municipal building is named after a former mayor. Los Angeles's, every street is named after somebody. Every park is named after somebody. But Fitchburg City Council just on Tuesday night voted unanimously with one abstention to rename the City Council chambers to honor Francis Huntley Cooper, but then also in a separate resolution voted that is 6-2 to prohibit the naming of any buildings, any of the core city facilities, police stations, city hall, senior center, etc., that will never be named for anybody. Joe Maldonado and Julia Ratafata both voted no on that resolution. So that is the news I have for you today. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and we'll be back tomorrow with more news for you. We will keep track of all the COVID stats and all the other news as well. So follow us at Madison365.org for the latest, as well as on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Have a great evening. See you soon.
This is 365 Media.